Okay, so for this video, I just wanted to reiterate some of the elements of doing a rhetorical analysis. I did post other videos of the rhetorical analysis process and ways to approach analysis for rhetoric. But I just thought I would make a quick video and just try to explain everything. In the other videos, I did explain the peer review process, and I also went over the actual assignment with you. But because a lot of times you're not asked to do rhetorical analysis in other situations in your life, or maybe in other classes you've had, you may not feel fully comfortable with it. So I just thought I would do a video and just talk to you about the different strategies that are used to analyze rhetoric. And these are things that really we do all the time. We just don't, maybe always label them this way. It's an academic set of terms, and once you understand it, it becomes very common. You'll probably recognize it in other conversations, or you may even begin to view the way you debate or the way that you persuade someone differently. In political arenas, and we are often in political years where we see political debates or we see things printed about candidates, and sometimes the word rhetoric gets sort of a bad rap because people will say, oh, that's just his rhetoric, or he used negative rhetoric, or oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, that's just his rhetoric. So really, the word rhetoric is just the way someone communicates, the way they give a message to someone else. So sometimes when someone says, oh, that's just their rhetoric, and they may use it in a negative way, it's really them just saying that's the way they communicate, or that's the way they share that message. So, I hope the stigma of the word will get washed away a little bit with this class. So I just wanted to give you an overview of the 3 rhetorical appeals. Whenever you try to persuade someone, if you want to win a debate, or if you want to win an argument, or get someone to do something that you want them to do, a good strategy is to use the 3 rhetorical appeals. And that's because each one of them has a purpose in the persuasion. And as people receive information, if you use all 3 rhetorical appeals, then you've sort of hit on every part of the appeal process. And also, you never know how your audience receives information exactly, or what their background is. And so if you hit all of these, you're probably able to persuade in some way. I think I've said this in another video, but one of the things that you might want to get away from is the thought that you have to win at any cost, or you have to win an argument 100%. A lot of times with academic debate or academic persuasion, you're basically wanting to share your point of view. You're wanting to share your side of an issue. You might, in this case for this class, you're sharing a solution to an issue or a problem. And while you may not win someone over 100%, because maybe there's something about the other side of the issue that they still, believe in, or, they can't be persuaded 100% altogether. If you maybe change their perception of something, you've won part of the argument. And in academic arenas, that's sometimes okay. You just want to maybe change their perception more than have them just change every way they think about something. None of us think the same. So you have to sort of get away from that win at any cost kind of mentality. So I'm going to see, I don't know, I think if I make this bigger, it may go too big. It's not going to go any bigger. Anyway, this is in the folder in Blackboard. So sometimes you'll see this triangle referred to as Aristotle's triangle. It goes back to the philosopher Aristotle, and he's sort of the one who came up with this theory a long time ago. Sometimes you'll just see it mentioned or shown as a rhetorical triangle. So there are 3 appeals when you're trying to persuade someone. So you're going to appeal to a person's emotions, the way they feel about things, the way they are as a human being having human emotion. And with the pathos, which is the feelings appeal, you're trying to find common ground with how most humans feel about something. So one of the things I tell people is, if you may not enjoy or want to have a dog in your life, but if I would walk into the room with a puppy, a cute little fuzzy puppy, you would probably have some kind of emotion toward that baby animal. It just would be something that was just warm and cuddly, and you would have some emotion towards that. You may not want to keep the dog forever, and it may not be your cup of tea because maybe you're more of a cat person, but you would probably have some emotion about just appreciating the fact that it was an innocent animal. Most people have and share that kind of thing. Same thing with a baby. Everybody may not be ready to raise a child or have a child of their own, but if they see someone else's baby, they sort of have, an emotion about it or an appreciation of the innocence of that child. So whenever you appeal to pathos, you're trying to think of common elements with feelings or emotions. Pathos is the Greek term for emotion. Also, there's a word part for pathetic, and sometimes if you see the word pathetic, it does deal with feelings. So you want to look at how the audience feels, how they experience things, and it's something that you're trying to find commonality with, and it's probably the most human part of the rhetorical process. A lot of times in political arenas, they will talk about money. That's because they know a lot of people have emotion centered around money and security. Or they'll talk about health care because, many of us have had sick relatives and we're concerned about them being properly cared for while they're sick. So that's something that can really get someone's attention with the pathos argument. Next, let's talk about ethos. So with ethos, that's the Greek term for ethics. So sometimes with ethos, you're looking at the ethics, like the ethics of the person who is speaking or writing, or the ethics associated with the message itself. But also with ethos, you're looking at credibility and authority, and who is the person who you're quoting, who is the person who did the study, or the department or the school that did the research study. Was it an ethical study? Was it, did that particular author have authority over the topic? Sometimes a speaker or a writer may not have ethics, or they may not be known as an authority over that topic. And you sort of think, well, what do they know about that? Like, why have they deemed themselves an expert? So sometimes as you analyze an appeal, you could question the authority of the person giving the message, or you could question the the authority, like let's say a university who had some controversy or something, and then they did a study on a certain topic, and then maybe there's a question of their authority over that topic. It's just sometimes when you analyze something, you can doubt it. You can also use it to your advantage to show that the person speaking or the person quoted in the article has authority. They are an expert in that field, and they have every right to share their research. And so then it's a good thing. So you can go either way with ethos. That's part of the analysis process. You're trying to figure out the credibility of the information being given in the article. A lot of times this can involve facts or data or statistics. A lot of times in political arenas, when there is a debate, one of the candidates will bring up a statistic or a number to support their view on something. I don't know if any of you have ever watched a political debate, but there are fact checkers. So if someone quotes a number and then that number doesn't really add up to the actual facts that have been published, then that may hurt the credibility of the person who gave that statistic. The flip side of that is someone could use a statistic that was true and accurate, and then that brings more credibility to the message. Okay, so last but not least is logos. So logos is the Greek term for logic. That's an easy one to remember because the logos and logic is very, closely related. And so that's one that you should be able to remember. Whenever you think of logic, think about the reasons why something is the way it is, or the example that's being used to show why something is the way it is, or what the truth is for that. So logic is something where you're trying to show the why, or how it became that way, or how it will become a certain way. You can use facts and research with logic as well as ethos. And you can even use facts and evidence with pathos as well. A lot of times an article may have some sort of narrative about a patient, or some sort of narrative about a person, a case study maybe, like if I know with psychology topics, a lot of times there will be a case study, or even something like radiography, or even criminal justice. There might be some sort of story about a person and an outcome, and that might bring in some feelings or emotions. With logos, you want to convince your audience that what you are using is well researched and that it's built well with the argument. So again, logos, logic is reasoning behind why it is the way it is. So as you study and review the article that you're going to use for this analysis, you have to look at each one of these. And as you read through it, and I think I said it in the other video, I think the best way to do it is to get a piece of paper and maybe divide it 3 ways and have a logo section, a pathos section, and an ethos section. And then as you come to different parts of the article, try to categorize them as either egos, logos, or pathos, and then maybe write them on the page. If you do print out the article, you could just write them in the margins of the article to help you identify the different things, because there's a little bit of an organization that has to happen when you do an analysis. You have to figure out what evidence from the actual article can be used to prove that ethos, pathos, or logos was used, and how it was used. So that's why the note-taking and the annotating of the article is so important, so that you can bring those things out into your analysis. So I hope this helps. I just wanted to explain the different parts of the analysis and some of the things that you'll be looking for. And I said this in the other video as well. Sometimes an article does not appeal to one of the 3 rhetorical appeals. To me, that's somewhat of a flaw. So an argument that leaves one of these out, sort of leaves holes in the argument. It can leave holes in the persuasive value of the message. So I would say if your article does not have a lot of pathos, your analysis may center on why they chose not to use that. Did it affect the message at all? Did it affect the persuasive value of the message? So those are some things you probably want to consider. These are things in political debates that are also brought up sometimes if a candidate does not really speak to the feelings or emotions of the voters. Sometimes that will be brought out as, do you not care about the public, or hey, this is a very caring person, and then that would be part of the message as well. So hopefully this helps you understand it better. Like I said, I did post some other videos from YouTube that also explain rhetoric, and I did have you watch the Clemson University video on rhetoric, and then you took the quiz on it. So hopefully all these things together will help you understand. If you do have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to meet with you in a collaborate session in Blackboard where we can go in the room and have a video chat. Or if you just have a quick question, for an email, just let me know. Good luck with your analysis. It is kind of fun once you get into it, but organization is the key. I look forward to seeing how you analyze your articles.